back to the 100 series. On July 13, 1989, Santa Fe's quality service freight from Kansas City to El Paso, Texas, returned to Warbonnets to the picturesque Raton Pass line. What better place to show off Warbonnets than the southern Colorado and New Mexico desert? We'll start at La Junta at the east end of the line and travel west. On its way from Kansas City to Albuquerque, the route reaches an elevation of 7,588 feet at Raton and 7,421 feet at Glorieta Pass. 4 of the new GEB 40-8s slide past at Jansen, Colorado. General Electric supplied additional 6-axle units for York Canyon coal service, while Amtrak's FP40s are being replaced on the Southwest Chief passenger train by GE 232BHs in the dashing new paint scheme. Next came Amtrak's new breed Genesis locomotive, whose popularity in the railfan community was limited, but they seem to fit in the Southwest with the rest of the high-tech locomotives that tackle the challenging contours of Raton and Glorieta. La Junta was first reached by rail in 1876. Trains from Denver and Pueblo and other towns in the Arkansas River Valley are switched here and headed east, west, and south. Powder River coal trains to and from Amarillo, Texas pass through here. Big Yellow, Union Pacific Power, is a visitor on occasion. But we're in search of Warbonnets. The 542 heads east. Then a westbound arrives, and our Warbonnet hunt begins. As Burlington Northern Oakways head west, the red and silver are on the fuel track with a Detour Q train. When track work or derailments close the main line in the panhandle of Texas and eastern New Mexico, the Raton and Glorieta route is pressed into service and the Warbonnets abound. The route from La Junta to Trinidad opened in 1878. This section of the railroad runs 81 miles. The westbound grade here is just over 1%, which means passenger train speeds are restricted to 90 miles an hour, and freight is held to 55 miles an hour, except for Detour Q trains that qualify for 70 miles an hour. 18 miles west of La Junta at Tempest, the eastbound train 891 eases to a stop for the meet with Amtrak number 3. Semaphore signals are part of the charm of this line. At Delhi, Colorado, eastbound train 891 meets the HDVBA. It's 13 miles from Delhi to Simpson on a steady 1.3% grade. This restricts the speed of the heavy Denver to Barstow mixed freight train to a steady 35 miles an hour. After cresting the grade at Simpson, there's a 0.5% descending grade to just east of Model, where speed picks up to 45 miles an hour. In the afternoon between Model and Honey's, a York Canyon coal load splits the semaphores, headed for Wisconsin Power and Electric. One of the more interesting consists to travel the American rails is the military train, by which entire units are moved by rail. The Santa Fe handled their fair share during the Desert Storm conflict. at Ponies, Colorado, the sun breaks through the clouds of a thunderstorm as a westbound detour Q train passes. .9,600-foot Fisher Peak looms in the background as Amtrak's eastbound Southwest Chief pulls off the siding just 10 miles out of Trinidad. Trinidad is located at the eastern foot of Raton Pass. The fast prairie running is over, and the 3% grades of Raton are ahead. The HDVBA reduces tonnage in preparation for the challenge. The train is split at Trinidad, and the first section is taken to Raton. The power returns to Trinidad for the second section, and at Raton, the train will be put back together and continue the trip to Barstow, California. In April of 1993, when the first detour started, QNYLA reduced tonnage at Trinidad, and additional power was brought over from Raton. It was coupled up to the cars that had been left behind and followed the first section over the pass. The train was then reassembled in Raton to continue west. Five miles west of Trinidad at Starkville, the first section of the Wisconsin Power and Electric coal load is coming down grade. The train's rear helpers were cut off at Guyanas and are coming down the south track. loads will be set out at Jansen, while the helpers proceed on to Trinidad to pick up westbound cars. The units will return to Raton as a Trinidad turn, then assemble the second half of the coal loads for the trip over the hill to Jansen. The QNY-LA rounds the sweeping curves east of Guyanas and prepares for the challenge of the 3% plus grade. The train passes the abandoned coal mining town of Morley. Morley was named for W.R. Ray Morley, a former engineer for the Denver and Rio Grande who became a railroad surveyor for the Santa Fe in 1877. His first assignment for the Santa Fe, find a way over Raton Pass without letting the Rio Grande know about it. Eastbound train 891, the Richmond, California to Chicago intermodal, passes the Wooten Ranch curve. With their snow-capped peaks, the Sangre de Cristo Mountains form a backdrop at the Wooten Ranch for the QNY-LA. Near this site, a deal was made between A.A. Robinson, Santa Fe President William Barstow Stang's right-hand man, and Uncle Dick Wooten for Wooten's toll road over the pass. The price? $50 a month credit for life at the Santa Fe store in Trinidad. This agreement was made in the middle of the night while representatives of the Rio Grande slept in a hotel in El Morro, north of Trinidad. These men were on their way to secure the rights for the pass. At the top of the pass, at the state line between Colorado and New Mexico, there were two tunnels. The first was built in 1879, replacing a line over the top that included switchbacks with 6% grades and 16-degree curves. The tunnel was completed in 1908 at a cost of $429,800. It's 2,787 feet long, 24 feet high, and 17 feet wide on a 0.5% grade. The line was double track until 1953, when the original tunnel was closed. Train number 991, the Richmond to Chicago intermodal, slips out of the tunnel and starts down the 3.5% graded Wooten. The second section of train 198 starts up after stopping for a red signal at Wooten's West Switch. QNYLA's first section shows off the serpentine nature of the track on the west side of the pass, and the whine of the dynamic brakes attest to the 3.32% descending grade. This is not a piece of railroad for engineers without ability and courage. We zoom in to see QNYLA's second section close behind. Because of congestion in the Raton yard, the two sections will be put together on the hill at Keota siding. This is a tricky maneuver at best. While the first section pulls past the west switch, the second section will leave its train on the main and shuttle its power onto the siding. The first section will back up the grade to couple up, get its air, and then head west. The second section will return to Trinidad for its next train. The first year the Santa Fe ran detours over the Raton line, trains were over 6,000 feet long, and many of the sidings on the line were too short to hold the Q trains. Succeeding years would see shortened trains with sufficient power to cross Raton Pass on their own. The York Canyon coal loads hit the 3% grade east of Raton. This is the second half of the Wisconsin Power and Electric train headed for Jansen. There, it'll join the first half of the train that went over Raton Pass during the night. The train has 12,375 horsepower on the point, with an equal amount of power bringing up the rear to lift 7,000 tons over the pass. At Guyanas, the grade drops to 2.5%, and the rear helpers are cut off and follow the loads down the hill on the second track. This creates interesting train watching at Starkville. At Jansen, about a mile or two west of Trinidad, both sections are put together with two of the 4,125 horsepower units on the point and are headed east. As the loads head east, the Southwest Chief passes, while the remaining units wait for the traffic to clear. Now we're in for a treat. They'll go into Trinidad Yard to pick up empties for a trip up the Picket Wire Valley on the Colorado and Wyoming branch to the Golden Eagle mine for loading. After leaving the C&W yard, the track passes through a 100-foot deep cut. "12 miles further west is the community of Segundo. Majestic Sangre de Cristo, or Blood of Christ mountains, watch over the valley at Weston. At the Golden Eagle mine, the power runs around the cars. The cars are quickly loaded and are delivered to Jansen. Loads are set out in the C&W Jansen yard to be picked up later by an eastbound train. The power will go to Trinidad Yard, pick up cars left by westbound train 448 when it reduced tonnage for the pass, then return to Raton, ending a busy day for the crew. Here comes the 448 train now with a GE-built SF-30C on the point. This train has mid-train helpers that are radio controlled by the head-end power. In this series of locomotives, the even number units are the control units, and the odd numbers are the receiver units. The Santa Fe used crewless RCE units on this line for years, and now that Warbonnets have arrived, the crewless units are disappearing. Crews are changed at Raton, and the 111-mile run to Las Vegas makes a short crew district for the railroad. Let's take a good look at the different types of Warbonnet power. On the point, a GE-8 40CW. 2 EMD Jeep 60Ms. A cabless Jeep 60 unit, and trailing another Jeep 60M. Through Springer and across the Salado Creek Bridge, detour train QNY-LA is traveling at 55 miles an hour on its way to Los Angeles. At Wagon Mound, New Mexico, the Chicago-bound Southwest Chief crosses the old Santa Fe Trail. The trail was a main artery for freight before the coming of the railroad. Bringing up the rear is a Santa Fe business car named Los Angeles. New York to Los Angeles QNY-LA passes through Shoemaker Canyon. A warm summer afternoon finds eastbound train 844 with Warbonnet 808 on the point, slowing for the signal at Shoemaker, which is at the east end of the canyon. .808 eases to a stop at the east switch to meet train 448. When the 448 arrives and stops at the west switch, the crews and dispatcher discover they have a problem. Both trains are too long. The 4,650-foot siding will not hold all of train 448. Time for a saw-by. The westbound engineer is Annette Pruitt. The eastbound engineer is her husband, Lloyd Pruitt. Lloyd, a veteran, is up to the task and talks the crews through the necessary moves.
Stop us as soon as you can get by us, Annette.
Okay. The 448's cars are uncoupled, leaving cars on the main. Then Lloyd pulls up far enough to clear the west switch. Now, Annette can take her power and some of the cars out onto the main. Then Lloyd backs up, clearing the east switch. The cars from the 448 sitting on the main are rolled down grade into the siding thanks to the law of gravity.
How many more? We can get out there. Want to go ahead and stop them? Yeah, go ahead and stop them if you want. Okay, it's off back here.
With the east switch clear, Lloyd pulls forward, clearing the west switch. Annette backs her train onto the siding and puts her train back together.
808 Manny. Yeah, we're done. We left your cars up here, so all you got to do is back up on them once we clear you. Got them on back here, 844. Yeah, go ahead.
How many did you have to cut off?
11 of them.
Lloyd's conductor and brakeman climb aboard, and they head east.
That's correct, 9536 up. Okay, thank you, sir. CC5 Albuquerque, huh? Santa Fe DS9 Albuquerque.
At the west switch, Annette's train has the air and heads west to Watrous just in time for a meet with Amtrak number 4. The radio-controlled SF-30Cs are being phased out of service by the railroad, and manned helpers are now being used. Railroad structures such as water tanks, depots, and roundhouses have disappeared over the years on American railroads. But the Raton-Glorieta line still has semaphore signals, numerous abandoned water tanks, and at Las Vegas, New Mexico, there are several treasures of the past. This large roundhouse reminds us of the many steam locomotives needed to conquer Glorieta Pass. One of the 262s that were numerous on the Santa Fe is on display at the east end of town. The first Hardy House Hotel, built in 1886, still stands. This former luxury hotel, the Castaneda, once hosted Theodore Roosevelt and his Rough Riders for a reunion. The many Harvey girls that served the patrons of the restaurant are only a memory now. The Southwestern-style depot saw Santa Fe's top-notch passenger trains, the El Capitan, the Chief, the Super Chief, and the California Limited. Today, only Amtrak Southwest Chief stops briefly for passengers. Las Vegas, New Mexico was first reached by the Santa Fe in 1879. Today, it's only a crew change point, but the passing Warbonnets remind us of its past railroad glory. West of Las Vegas is the line's last remaining example of Santa Fe advertising on their bridges. Ojeda, located 8 miles west of Las Vegas, is the point for a meet between Amtrak number 3 and Train 804. Nine and a half miles farther west at Chappelle, it's a cold, cloudy spring day with a threat of snow in the air. The Denver to Barstow train HDVBA stops on the siding for a meet with Train 893, the Los Angeles to Kansas City TOFC train. The Denver to Barstow train HDVBA drops off and picks up all along the way and is considered the workhorse of the line. Today, the train is having problems with too much tonnage and not enough horsepower, resulting in overheating of the Warbonnets. It's taken 45 minutes to go the 4 miles from Chappelle to Blanchard, and a stop has to be made to cool the units. While the dispatcher and crew are making arrangements to leave half the train at Sands and double the hill to Glorietta, the helper crew discovers the multiple unit cable between the mid-train helper units is not connected. Once corrected, the train is able to proceed to Lamy in time for its meet with the Southwest Chief. Blanchard at milepost 793.6 is the site of a meet with the Kansas City-El Paso Q trains. Eastbound EPKCQ with merger-painted power and the leased EMD unit slow for a meet with a westbound KCEPQ, powered by SDF P45 number 101. On the end of the train is business car number 50. Just west of Blanchard is a series of S-curves known as the Blanchard Horseshoe. Amtrak's Southwest Chief with detouring priority, Q trains, and the ascending eastbound grade combine to create some spectacular action. The dispatcher is Bill Abel, one of the best in La Junta and Albuquerque. He retired when the dispatchers went to Schaumburg, Illinois. QNYLA 547 heads for a meet at Sands.
Okay, Blanchard 434.40 for number 4. Okay, let's make this track 1 number 933. April 1/8/1993 to 547 west at Sands.
Sands is located at milepost 803. The HDVBA passes the 6,385-foot siding on its way west. A spring snowstorm catches up with the HDVBA as it tumbles down the sag on the track at Rowe. Nine miles west, the rail reaches the top of the 7,200-foot pass at Glorietta. It then plunges downgrade into Apache Canyon, where the railroad crosses Galisteo Creek on this unique bridge, which fans the rock walls like a spider. Both passenger and freight trains are restricted to 20 miles per hour in this short but narrow and twisting canyon. Today, Amtrak number 3 and 4 will meet 5 miles east of Glorietta at Fox. The number 3 is crossing the Truss Bridge at the east end of Apache Canyon on its way to Lamy, New Mexico. At Lamy, the HDVBA is greeted by huge falling snowflakes as it slows on the siding for a meet with the eastbound Southwest Chief. Spring in the high desert of the American Southwest can be winter one day and shirt-sleeve weather the next. Passengers are quickly unloaded, and number 4 is on its way. The railroad reached its namesake, Santa Fe, New Mexico, by an 18-mile branch line on a 1.5% grade. It's now operated by short line operator, the Santa Fe Southern. This mixed train leaves Lamy Depot behind their brightly painted Jeep 7, the number 92, formerly Santa Fe number 2075.